never thought I would come back home to this kind of silence, or this kind of betrayal. The city lights blurred behind me as I drove back after a 14-hour shift. My body was exhausted, my mind numb, and all I wanted was a warm shower and my own bed. Home, that word used to mean safety. But that night, it meant something else. Something I didn't understand, yet when I pulled into the driveway, something felt off. The lights inside the house were on, but the curtains were shut completely. And the front door, it was locked. That was strange, because I had never given anyone else the authority to lock that door. Not legally, not emotionally, not in any way. I walked closer, my keys already in hand. I tried once, locked, twice, still locked. My heart started beating faster. And then I heard it, footsteps inside the house, slow, deliberate. And then a voice, sharp and cold, came through the door. Pay $30,000 or don't bother coming back. I froze. For a moment, I actually thought I misheard it. $30,000. For my own home, I leaned closer to the door. Who is this? I asked quietly. A pause, then the same voice answered again. House, my rules. My stomach dropped because I already knew that voice. My stepmother, she had moved in after my father remarried her 5 years ago. At first, she was polite, sweet smiles, soft words, careful actions. But over time, something changed. She started treating the house like it belonged to her. Changing furniture, replacing locks, making rules that were never discussed with me. And I stayed quiet because I thought peace was better than conflict. I was wrong. I knocked again, harder this time. Open the door. I just got off work. A soft laugh came from inside, not kind, not warm. It was mocking. You don't understand, she said. This isn't your home anymore. That sentence hit differently because legally, I knew something she clearly forgot. This house, it wasn't hers. Not even close. I took a step back from the door. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from realization, because something inside me just clicked, a memory, a document, a signature, and a name on paper that she never bothered to check. Mine. I closed my eyes for a second. All the late nights I worked overtime, all the sacrifices I made when my father was sick, all the money I invested into this house renovation years ago, and the one mistake I made. I trusted them too much. From inside, her voice came again. Are you going to pay or not? I already told your father, no money, no entry. That sentence made my breath stop. My father knew, or at least she said he knew. But something felt wrong, very wrong. I pulled my phone out. My fingers hesitated for just a second. Then I called one person, not her, not my father, my lawyer. And the moment the phone started ringing, I looked back at the locked door, and I smiled slightly. Because whatever game she thought she was playing, she had no idea whose house she was standing in. I stood outside the locked door, holding my phone like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. My stepmother's voice was still echoing in my head. Pay $30,000 or don't come back. But I wasn't angry yet, not fully, because deep down I needed to understand how it even came to this. The phone rang once, twice, then finally. Hello, my lawyer answered. I lowered my voice. I need you to check something for me right now. Was a pause on the other side. You sound serious. I am, I said. It's about the house. For a moment there was only typing sounds, fast, professional, then silence, longer silence than I expected. That's when my stomach tightened. Because lawyers don't stay silent unless something is wrong, very wrong. Okay, he finally said. Tell me exactly what's happening. I looked at the door again, and I told him everything, the locked entrance, the $30,000 demand, her voice, the claim that it was her house. Another pause. Then he asked something that made my blood turn cold. Who gave her permission to control the property? I frowned. No one. Why? And then he said the words I will never forget. There's no record of her ownership. But he continued before I could speak. Fact, the deed is still in your name. For a second, I didn't respond, not because I didn't understand, but because I did completely, and it didn't make sense. If the house was legally mine, why was I standing outside like a stranger? Are you sure? I asked quietly. I've double-checked, he said. It's 100% in your name. No transfer, no sale, no legal authorization. My grip tightened around the phone. What does that mean? I asked. There was a short pause then. It means whoever is inside your house is there illegally. The word hit harder than I expected. Illegally, inside my house. My chest rose slowly as I looked at the front door again. Suddenly, everything felt different. The silence wasn't scary anymore. It was temporary. My lawyer continued. Carefully. Do not force entry. Do not argue, just document everything. Call the police if needed. Police, that word made something shift inside me, because until that moment I was still thinking like someone trying to keep peace. Now I wasn't inside the house. I heard movement again, then her voice. This is your final chance. Either you pay or I'll have your things thrown out. I looked up slowly, my expression changed. Not anger, not panic, something colder, something calm. I spoke into the phone. She thinks she owns the house. Lawyer replied immediately. Then she's about to learn she doesn't. I ended the call. For a few seconds I just stood there. Then I did something I never expected I would do. I started recording every sound, every word, every moment. I walked closer to the door again. And this time I didn't knock, I spoke clearly. I just spoke to my lawyer. Silence inside. For the first time, she didn't answer immediately. Then her voice came, slower now. What did he say? I smiled slightly, not loudly. Not dramatically, just enough. He said something interesting. I leaned closer to the door and finished the sentence quietly. He said I'm the legal owner of this house. A long silence followed, no footsteps, no movement, nothing. And in that silence I realized something. Everything was about to change. The moment I said it, I am the legal owner of this house. Changed, but not immediately, because the kind of people who take something that isn't theirs don't let go easily. From inside the house there was silence, not the peaceful kind, the dangerous kind. Then I heard her footsteps again, faster this time. She moved closer to the door, and when she spoke again, her voice was different, less confident, more sharp. You're lying. That was it, just 2 words, but I could hear the crack underneath them. I didn't reply right away. Instead, I stayed calm, because I knew something she didn't. Truth doesn't need to rush. I lifted my phone slightly, still recording, still watching, and I said quietly, you should have checked the papers before changing the locks. Again, longer this time. Then suddenly, the door handle moved, once, twice, like she was testing reality itself, but it stayed locked, because now it wasn't her lock anymore. Inside, I heard another voice, a man's voice, my father. That stopped me for a second, because I hadn't spoken to him properly in weeks. What is going on here? He asked. His tone was tired, confused, and frustrated, not angry, just worn out. My stepmother answered quickly. She's trying to take the house from us. Us, that word echoed in my head, because suddenly this wasn't just about her anymore. She had dragged him into it. Or maybe he was already part of it. I spoke calmly. Dad, open the door. Then his voice again. You're saying this is your house. I closed my eyes for a second and replied, it is, legally. A long pause, then something unexpected happened. The door unlocked slowly. Click, it opened just slightly, and there he was, my father, standing in the doorway, looking at me like he was trying to understand which version of reality was real. Behind him, my stepmother stood frozen, but her expression wasn't fear anymore, it was panic. Controlled panic. My father spoke quietly. Why didn't you tell me? I frowned. Tell you what? He looked away for a moment. And that's when I knew this wasn't new to him. He already knew something before he could answer. My stepmother stepped forward. She said quickly, don't listen to her. She's manipulating you. Her voice wasn't strong anymore. It was breaking. Slowly I looked at her directly, and for the first time I saw it clearly, not confidence, not authority, just desperation. My lawyer's words came back into my mind. Whoever is inside your house is there illegally. Suddenly, it wasn't just a legal situation anymore. It was collapsing. I took one step closer, not inside, just enough for them to see I wasn't backing down anymore, and I said calmly, I didn't come here to fight. A pause. I came to take what's mine. In that moment, I saw my father's face change, not anger, not denial, but realization. The moment I said it, I came to take what's mine. Air in the doorway changed instantly. No one spoke. No one moved. Even the silence felt heavier than before. My stepmother was the first to break it. You can't just walk in here and claim everything, she snapped. But her voice wasn't strong anymore. It was shaking, controlled fear slipping through every word. My father slowly stepped out of the doorway. He looked between me and her, like he was standing on a line that was about to collapse under him. Stop this, he said quietly. Both of you. I didn't look away. Not this time. I held my phone up slightly, still recording. And I said calmly, I didn't start this. A pause. She did the moment she demanded $30,000 for my own house. That number hit differently this time, $30,000, not a negotiation, not a misunderstanding. A demand. My stepmother immediately turned to my father. She's lying. I was just testing. She stopped mid-sentence. Because even she didn't believe it anymore. I took one more step forward. And this time, I crossed the threshold, not as a guest. Not as a stranger, as the legal owner. My father didn't stop me. That silence said everything. Then I said it clearly. I already spoke to my lawyer. I have the deed, I have the records, I have everything documented. A pause, and I also have the recording. That's when her face changed completely, not anger anymore, not control, panic, real panic. You recorded me, she whispered. I nodded, every word. Looked at my father immediately. You see, she's trying to destroy us. but this time. My father didn't respond right away. He just stared at her, like he was seeing her properly for the first time, and then he said something I didn't expect. "Did you lock her out of this house?" Silence. She didn't answer. That was the answer. My father closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them again, something had changed. Not anger, not confusion, decision. "Pack your things," he said quietly. My stepmother froze. "What?" He repeated it, slower this time. "Pack your things. This house is not yours to control." For a second, she didn't move. Then everything broke. She started yelling. "This is unfair. I did everything for this family." But no one answered her anymore because the truth had already taken over. The house wasn't locked anymore, but the situation was. And this time, not in her favor. I stood there quietly, no celebration, no smile, just calm. Because revenge doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it just looks like truth finally speaking. My father turned to me. His voice was low. "I should have checked earlier." I nodded slightly. Should I have trusted earlier? As I walked deeper into the house, I realized something simple. I didn't come back to fight. I came back to reclaim what was already mine.